Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. Today we will be discussing a primary 4 lesson which is 4 Omens. Here are the objectives of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to understand the 4 Omens and their related incidents. One day, the prince Siddhartha told his father, King Suddhodana, "Father, I must go out of the palace and see how people live." The king Suddhodana agreed and made all the arrangements in the city, so that the prince would see a well decorated city, the good and bright things in the city only. My dear children, now we'll see how the Prince Siddhartha made the first omen. The first omen is an old man. So, as the prince was going through the streets, all of a sudden, from a small toll hut beside the road, came out an old man with long silvery grey hair, wearing torn, dirty rags. His face looked dried and wrinkled eyes made him appear blind. His mouth was toothless, trembling. He was bent, walked slowly with the help of a stick. So the old man's hands were thin and skinny. He was begging for food and looked very hungry. So the Prince Siddhartha was very surprised to see such a person. It was the very first time he had seen an old person. So then he asked from Channa, who was his closest friend born on the same day, "Who is he? Is he a man? Why is he bent and trembling? His hair is silver grey and not black. What's wrong with him?" So then Channa explained, "Dear prince, they are not born like that, but when they grow old, they become like this. Just forget about it, dear prince." "Channa, does it happen to everybody? Can't we stop that?" Prince Siddhartha asked. "Then, no, it cannot be stopped," answered Channa. So the prince was very sad. He thought that is a terrible thing to get old. When one grows old, he or she has to face it, even if you are rich or poor. My dear children, now you all know what is the first omen. It is an old man. So now let's continue. After the journey to the city, there was a grand royal party in the palace. So there were lots of beautiful, pretty girls dancing, and the dinner also was very grand. But the prince was very thoughtful and very sad. He was unhappy. He couldn't sleep. He was thinking of how to stop old age and sickness. So when the king heard about the incident of the sick man, he was highly worried. So at once sage Asita's prediction came to his mind. Next day, the prince wanted to go to the city, but this time he wanted to visit the city without the people being told about his visit. So the king agreed, fearing that if he stopped him, it would make him more unhappy. Together with Channa, the prince went to the city not as the heir to the throne, but as a man from a noble family. This time, the city did not look joyous with flags to receive the prince. Instead, everybody was occupied in their own work, like blacksmiths, goldsmiths, then the cloth dyers, then the bakers. Everybody was doing their own work. All of a sudden, Prince saw a man laying on the ground, like twisting, then holding his stomach and crying out loudly in pain. There were patches all over the body. He was not breathing well. So, after that, the kind-hearted prince felt so sad. So he carried the man. So then, what's wrong with you? Then prince asked. So the sick man cried, Channa, why is the man like this? Dear prince, do not hold the man like this. He has plague fever. He is in pain. Are there more men like this? Prince asked. Yes. Please put him down. You may contact the disease. It cannot be cured. The prince felt so sad. So he returned to the palace immediately. He was thinking all about the terrible things. Old age, sickness, one has to face, rich or poor. So, my dear students, what is the second omen? It's what? Sick man. A sick man. So, my dear students, the third omen is death. Death or a dead body. So, in the next day, the prince wanted to go back to the city to see more of the life in the city. So, then the king thought it was useless to stop the prince. So, then after that, the prince dressed himself as an ordinary man. So, when he went to the city, he saw few people coming towards him. They were crying. There were 4 people carrying a plank on which a very thin man lay flat and still. The people placed the plank along with the man on a pile of wood and set fire to it. The man did not move but was burnt to ashes. So then asked, what is this Channa? Why is he still and why did they burn him? He is dead, my dear prince, answered Channa. All beings must die. We cannot stop it. Likewise, Channa answered. So then after that the prince was shocked hearing those things. He was thinking how dreadful death was. He was silent. He went to the palace. So he was very sad. I must find a way to stop death, he thought. My dear children, up to now we learned about 3 omens. What are those? The first one is what? A old man. The second one is a sick man. So the third one is the death or else a dead body. So now we are going to learn the fourth omen, which is a monk. Right? So let's come to the story. Next day he visited the city for the 4th time. He saw a man who looked so happy, wearing what? Wearing an orange colored robe. So he did not have much hair on head. It was shaven. So then after that, Prince Siddhartha asked from Channa, who is that? Channa said that he lived in the nearby temple and goes from house to house begging for his food. He preaches people how to be good and happy. So then the prince felt so much happy. He thought he too should become a person like that. Then he sat under a tree feeling relaxed. It was then that he got the news that a baby son was born to his wife. So, my dear children, hearing about this news, it means about the newborn baby, he said Rahula has been born and thus his son was named as Rahula. What is the name, Putte? Rahula. So on his way back, he passed the abode of Kisagotami. She saw the handsome prince coming. Then she said the Nibbuta Pada. Shall we recite them nicely? Right. Nipputanuna samata, Nipputanuna sopita, Nipputanuna sanari, Yassayang idisopati. What is that? Nipputanuna samata, Nipputanuna sopita, Nipputanuna sanari, Yassayang the Sopati, meaning. She said loudly, "How happy and cool must be the mother and father and wife of such a handsome young prince." But the prince thought to himself it would be better if they knew what real happiness was. So, my dear children, now we have come to the end of this lesson. So, hope you all will do all these questions. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day to you all.